Marvellous snakes.
This time, we'll be making a friendly snail, made from colourful modelling clay. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, I'll grab some clay from over here. You'll need 2 of your favourite colours, some white and some black. Start by taking the colour that you want to use for the body of your snail. Pinch a piece off and put this aside, and we'll use that later on. Roll the rest into a ball and then use the table to roll it into a sausage shape. Don't worry if it's a bit wobbly, it'll add character. Now, lift up one of the ends and smooth it out. This will be our snail's head. Pinch the other end into a point. This will be the tail. There we go. Next, I'm going to grab a pencil and I'm going to use this to make a mouth. I'll just push that in there. Press down on the top of the mouth to make a smile. So go back and get that piece we saved earlier. Break this in 2. And then roll these into balls and then sausage shapes. Put these on the top of your snail's head. To make an eye, grab the white, pinch off a piece, and then roll this into a ball again. Use the table to flatten out one side of it, and then stick this on the face. Do exactly the same for the other eye. Ah, look, there's a bit left for you, Graham. Ow! Right, okay. Get 2 really tiny pieces of the black and roll these up and stick them on the eyes. Now your snail can see. Don't need this anymore. Now we have a slug, but to make a snail you'll need a shell. So grab your other colour, then roll it on the table and push gently sideways to make a really long rope. Oops, don't worry if it breaks like that. Just put it back together and keep rolling. Now starting at whichever end is thinnest, roll up your rope into a big spiral. Flatten out this end a little bit and then stick this onto your snail's back. And there we have it, a complete friendly snail. Here are some different ways you can make your snail, and one made by Mike and Melanie. This time, we'll be making a hungry clay worm. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, grab some modelling clay. You'll need some green, a colour for your worm, a bit of brown or red, some white and some black. First, take all of your green and smooth it into a ball. Just roll it on the table to make it slightly taller. Get your thumb and push it in the top to make a dimple. Then smooth that out with your finger. Next, grab a piece of the red or brown and roll it into an apple stalk. Pop that on there. There we are. To make your worm, roll out your worm colour, making one end a bit thinner. Then smooth out the head and tail. This one's turned out a bit too long, so you'll need a safe cutting tool, lolly stick or ruler. Chop away everything apart from the snail's head and tail. Now take your cutting tool and roll it over your worm to give it some wrinkles. Don't press too hard though, because you might end up cutting all the way through. That should do it. Lovely. Then, using a pencil, make 2 holes in your apple, one for your worm's head and one for your worm's tail to poke out of. Put the worm pieces in the holes and it looks like it's eaten all the way through. I'll just grab this. To make the mouth, roll 2 tiny sausages. Put these next to each other and then smooth the little ends together with your finger. Stick these lips on the worm's face.
Yo.
Make the eyes of your worm out of 2 little balls of white clay. Finish them with 2 tiny balls of black. Here are some more ideas for hungry worms, and one made by Ian and Nina. In this episode, we'll be making a clay birdie big legs. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, grab some modelling clay. You'll need 2 of your favourite colours, some white and some black. Grab the colour you want to use for your bird's body and roll it into a ball. Then, roll this into a short sausage shape and lift up one end for the head. Smooth it all out a bit with your fingers. Now, take the other colour and save a little piece for later. Separate the rest into 2 pieces to make the big legs. Roll one of these into a sausage shape. Don't make it too thin because your bird might fall over. Flatten out the ends to make a cylinder. And then do the same thing for the other leg. Oh, whoops. I forgot to save some of this colour as well. I'll just grab some from here and smooth that back out. Place the body on the legs and then press it all together like this. To make the wings, take half of this piece and roll a little ball. Squash it flat into a circle. Take your ruler or cutting tool and chop it right down the middle. Then, smooth the flat sides of the wings onto the body and lift up the tips a little. Make another circle for the tail, but then squash in the top and bottom a little bit to make more of a rectangle. Using your cutting tool, only cut halfway through like this. Smooth that into the back and then fan out the tail. Grab a little ball of the other colour to make a beak. Take your finger and roll the ball just on one side to make a pointy cone. Now flatten out the other side and stick this to your bird's face. I'll use a piece of this leftover to make some little ball toes. Ugh, tastes like toes. Get a piece of white for the eye. Make a ball and then flatten one side. Stick this on the face. Then do it again for the other eye. Use 2 tiny pieces of black for the pupils. And there we have it. Here are some other types of birds, and one made by Matt and Alex. This time, we'll be making a happy clay planet. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, grab some modelling clay. You'll need a piece of your favourite colour, some black, some white and a little piece of red. Take the big piece of colour and roll it into a ball. Squash it a bit, then, using the table, flatten it out into a big bump. You might need to smooth it out a bit more using your fingers or rolling it on the table like this. Once you're happy with your bump, grab some brushes or pencils and then use the wrong end to draw some craters onto your planet. Do a few different sizes all over it. Then using your finger, gently smooth those out. If it's tricky to get your planet off the table, try sliding some thread underneath it. I'll just rub that away. Whoa! Right, this time we'll start with some black for the eyes. So make 2 balls and squash them into circles. Put these on your planet. Then make 2 smaller balls of white. Flatten the balls into bumps, then put them on the black circles. Finish each eye with a tiny black pupil. Get some red for the mouth and roll it into a little sausage. Curl it up at each end and then squash it into a smile shape. I'm going to add a little squashed sausage of white teeth. There we go. If you make the eyes and mouth quite small, it'll make your planet look bigger. Don't forget, if you miss something, you can always rewind and go back. I'm going to finish this planet with some big sausage eyebrows. If you like, you can always twist 2 colours together to give a swirly effect for your planet. They can be as crazy as you like. Here's one by Matt and Tom. In this episode, we'll be making a clay burger beast. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, find some modelling clay. You'll need orange, red, green, yellow, black and white. If you haven't got any burgery brown, then don't worry, you can mix some. Grab a ball of orange, 2 equal sized balls of red, 1 ball of green and half a ball of black. Squish this all together until it's all the same colour. Right, so take half of your orange and roll it into a ball. Squash the ball to make it into a thick circle. This will be the bottom of your burger bun. For your lettuce leaf, do the same thing with the green. But then pinch it to make it really flat. Make little folds all around the edge to ruffle it up. Then flatten it down and put it on your bun. Just squash down this ball of brown to make the burger meat. I'll just smooth this out. Whoop. Cheese time! Make a flat circle of yellow and pinch it again to make it really thin. Whoops. Grab your cutting tool or ruler and chop it into a square. I'll just remove those. Now lay the cheese on your burger. For tomatoes, just make little circles of red. Roll the rest of the orange into a ball for the bun top. Flatten the bottom by pressing it onto the table. Smooth it out and pop it on top. Find that yellow again and roll it into a really skinny string. Chop it up into tiny little seeds and place these all over the bun. Make a pair of bendy sausage arms with the red by rolling them out, bending them, and sticking them on the burger. Add on a pair of little sausage thumbs. Use 2 round white bumps for the eyes. Stick those on there. Finish the whole thing off with some tiny black pupils. And there we have it. Here are some different types, and one made by Fritz and Anna. This time we'll be making a clay Umi character. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, let's grab some clay. Oh, you'll need a colour for your Umi, some white, some black and a little bit of red. Start your character's body by taking a little bit more than half of your coloured clay. Roll this into a ball. Then, roll the sides to make it taller, and using your fingers, make the top a little bit thinner. I'm making my Umi quite small. To make things less fiddly, make yours a bit bigger. Oh, gotcha. Next, roll a little ball of the black. Then squash it and pinch it to make a really flat circle. Take your cutting tool and chop off the top of the circle. Now you've got a smiley mouth shape. Stick that onto the body like this. Then press it right in. For the teeth, make a tiny white ball and squash this into a circle. Get your cutting tool and chop the circle into 2 tiny semicircles. Arrange these on the mouth and do the same for the other teeth. Use a bit of the red to make a little sausage tongue. Ah yes. Now make some closed eyes with 2 tiny black sausages. Bend them over to make a little curve. Or try open eyes with white circles. Ah! Come here. Gotcha. Right, time for some arms. Make a ball and then roll one side of it into a cone shape. Flatten out the bottom. Actually, my arm is a bit too big, so I'll cut a bit off. Then just stick it onto the body. Do the same for the other arm. Make 2 little legs in just the same way. To finish your character, make 2 round ears from squashed balls of clay. There we go. Here are some other Umis you can make, and one made by Mike, and Mel. In this video, we'll be making a Blob cat. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Go grab some clay. You'll need 2 colours for your cat, some white and a little piece of black. Grab a big lump of clay for the body and roll this into a ball. Using the table, flatten out the bottom, turning it into a tall bump. And just smooth this out a little. There we go. Roll the rest of that colour into a ball. Using your cutting tool, chop this in half. And stick the half balls on either side of the body to make the hips. Now, take some of the other colour and roll it into a long rope. Take your tool and cut this into one long tail, 2 medium-sized front legs and 2 shorter back legs. Stick those short back legs on the bottom of the hips, the 2 front legs on the front of the body and the tail on the back of the body. Then make a whole load of little ball toes. Use 2 more balls to make the top of the cat's mouth. And press a tiny black ball on top for a nose. 4 triangle ears, squash a ball of clay to make a circle. Then pinch the sides in with your fingers to form a triangle. Place this on the head and then do the same thing for the other ear. To complete your model, use a ball of white to make an eye. Squash the bottom onto the table and then stick this to the face. Finished up with a tiny black pupil. Do the same. Oh, hello. Here are some other types of blob cats you can make, and one made by Ian and Chris.
Marvellous!
In this episode, we'll be making a magic unicorn lion. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, go and find some clay. You'll need a colour for the body, a colour for the mane, 2 similar colours for the horn, some white and some black. So first, take the colour you want to use for the body and roll it into a ball. Then, roll this ball on the table to make it slightly taller. Grab your cutting tool and cut about 1/4 of the body off. Just tidy the body up a little. Now roll the piece you've just cut off into a long sausage shape. And using your cutting tool, chop this into 4 equal sized legs. I'll just flatten those ends a little and lay them all out. Now put the body on the legs. Using some of this leftover body colour, roll a sausage, then use your fingers to turn it into a rectangle. This will be our lion's head. To make the mane, roll a ball and squash this into a circle. Place this circle on the back of the head so it sticks out over the edge. Keep doing that all the way around, but leave a gap at the top for the horn. Now, using your cutting tool, press this into the front of the head to make a groove for the mouth. Twist your cutting tool upwards, so the top of the mouth is pressed into the face and the bottom of the mouth sticks out a bit more. Roll a bunch of little white teeth and stick those along the mouth. Then just smooth the sides of the mouth a bit. Squash 2 white balls onto the face for the eyes and add 2 black pupils. Lovely. Then stick the finished head onto the body. For the horn, roll out a string of each of your horn colours. Try and get one of the ends a little bit thicker. Lay these strings next to each other and then carefully twist them together like this. Give it a roll to smooth it all out. Wow, this is way too long. So just cut out the nicest piece for your horn and then tidy up the shape with your fingers. Stick this onto your model and it's finished. Here are some other magic unicorn lions, and one made by Nina and Alex.
Marvellous!
This time we'll be making a clay dinosaur baby. So get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, I'll grab some clay from over here. You'll need a colour for your egg, 3 other colours, some white and some black. Start off by rolling your egg colour into a ball. Grab a cutting tool and then chop the top off your ball. Put that clay to one side. Next, get your dinosaur colour and pinch off a piece for later. Roll the rest into a short sausage shape. Then, roll half of it a bit more, so half is thin and half is thick. Round off the thick half to make the head, and then on the thin half, just flatten out the end. Stick it on your egg just like this, and then bend over the head. Get that piece you saved earlier, and then roll it into a little rope. Chop this to give you 2 little arms. Tidy them up and stick them on the body. To make the top of the egg, roll a ball and squash this to make a circle. Cut the edges off the circle to turn it into a triangle. Stick this on the top of the egg and smooth in the bottom with your finger. Do that all the way round. Here's a small egg for you.
Ooh.
Now, chop a big mouth into your dinosaur's head like this. Just push the top of the face back a bit, so the bottom sticks out further. Make some squashed balls of white for the teeth. Stick those on the bottom of the mouth. Next, make the scaly spikes. Squash a ball of clay to make a circle, and then cut this in half. Stick these in a row down its back. To make an eye, roll a ball of white and then flatten one side using the table. Put this on your dinosaur's face. Add a tiny black ball for the pupil. Do this again for the other eye. Finally, if you want to make a nest, roll a whole load of little sticks, then arrange these around the base of your egg. There you have it. Here are some other ways you can make your dinosaur. And one made by Anna and Matt.
Marvellous!
In this video, we'll be making an elephant mouse. So get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, find some clay. You'll need a colour for the body, some white, another light colour and a little bit of black and red. Start by taking half of your body colour and rolling it into a ball. Pinch the top of your ball into a spike so it looks a bit like an onion. I'll just give it a roll. Bend the spike over to make the neck. Take another piece and roll it into a sausage. Bend this over and put it behind the neck. Smooth those ends in, and there we have some bumpy neck folds. For the legs, make a ball, roll it into a sausage, then flatten the ends on the table. Do the same for each leg. Just put those together, put the body on top. Press the sides of the legs into the body so everything sticks. Then make a little sausage for the tail and stick this on. Next, take the light colour and make a bunch of tiny balls. Squash them onto the legs to make the toenails. For an eye, roll a ball of white and stick it onto the neck, just on the side like this. Use a tiny ball of black for the pupil, then do the other eye. It looks quite funny like this. Make the ears by squashing balls of clay into circles, and then sticking these onto the backs of the eyes. Grab a piece for the trunk. That's a bit too much. Then roll it into a thin sausage, but keep one end thicker. Squash the thick end onto the face and give it a curl. Finally, finish it off with a little red sausage tongue. Here are some other ways you can make your elephant mice, and one made by Tom and Fritz.
Marvellous!
This time, we'll be making a prickly hedgehog. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, for this make, you'll need some cotton buds. If you haven't got those, you could try using drinking straws, pipe cleaners, dried pasta, lolly sticks, matchsticks, or just sticky sticks. You'll also need some modelling clay, 2 of your favourite colours, and a little piece of white and black. Start by taking the colour you want to use for your hedgehog's body and roll it into a ball. Flatten out the front so it curves inwards just very slightly. Next, grab the colour for the face and the legs. For the face, roll a ball and then squash it flat. Pull it sideways to make it wider and then stick it on. Make 4 little sausage legs and stick those onto the body like this. Now, take a pencil and poke a hole for the mouth. Oops. I'll just shape that mouth a bit more. There we go. Now, make 2 little white balls for the eyes. Squash them into circles and stick them on the face. Make smaller circles of black for the pupils. For the prickles, you'll need a pair of scissors. Be careful when you use these. Then cut the cotton buds in half. push these into your hedgehog's back. And then just keep going. Look at all those prickles. And there you have it. Here are some other ways you can make your hedgehog. And one made by Mel and Mike. In this video, we'll be making a spongy snapper, just like you, Graham. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. You'll need a sponge. As well as a sponge, you'll need some white paper, a black and red felt tip pen, and some all-purpose glue. Start by taking your sponge and a pair of scissors. Be careful when using these. Cut your sponge in half to make 2 long rectangles. You can save one half to make another snapper. Now, cut the corners off to make a rounded rectangle. I'll just tidy this up with a few more snips. Turn this on its side and then carefully cut down the middle. This will give you the mouth. When you press down on the back, the mouth should open up. Now let's make some teeth. Cut a strip of your white paper and then save the rest for later. Fold the strip in half again, and then in half one more time. Using one of your pens, draw a long tooth shape, just on the top. Cut this out, making sure you chop through all the layers. If you find these teeth are a bit tricky to cut, try a different shape, like a triangle. Now you've got a whole bunch of teeth. Find your glue and put a little bit on the flat end of the tooth. Stick this in the top of the mouth with the round end poking out. You might have to hold it for a bit so it stays stuck. Then just add the rest of the teeth. Once they're all stuck, just fold them down. Get your paper again and a red pen. Draw a long tongue. When you're finished, cut this out with your scissors and put it to one side. Cut a rectangle of paper, fold it in half, and then cut 2 semicircles out of the folded edge. Open these out and you've got 2 round eyes. They just need a black dot for the pupil. Now just glue on your eyes and finally glue in the tongue. And you're all done. Here are some other types of sponge snapper, and one made by Matt and Chris.
Marvellous!
In this episode, we'll be making a funny finger puppet. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. For this make, you'll need to find a rubber glove. You'll also need a rectangle of old cardboard, some sticky tape, a blob of modelling clay, some felt tip pens and some all-purpose glue. Start with your rubber glove and grab a pair of scissors. Be careful when you're using these. Cut off all of the glove's fingers. I'll just lay those out. Yo! Next, take your piece of card and one of your pens. Roll your card around the pen and then stick some tape on to make a little tube. Find your piece of clay and press your tube into the top. Now you've got a little stand for your finger puppet. Now choose one of your rubber fingers, turn this inside out and pop it on the stand. Right, grab another finger and turn this inside out as well. Flatten it on the table and then using a pen, draw this shape onto it. Carefully cut along these lines. You'll end up with a head with two floppy arms hanging off. Then just put this on the top of your puppet. If you want, you can snip the end of the arms to make fingers. For some crazy hair, take one of the glove fingers and just cut off the end. Snip along the bottom, making sure that you don't cut all the way to the top. Now spread this all out and grab your glue. Put a little blob in the middle and then stick it on the top of your puppet's head, just like this. Now just grab your pens and then use these to decorate your puppet however you want. There we go, lovely. Here are some other ideas for puppets, and one made by Ian and Anna.
Beep beep. Oh, yay!
This time, we'll be making a flapping cup bird. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. You'll need to find a paper cup. You'll also need a big piece of modelling clay, 3 lolly sticks, a piece of thick paper or card, some paint, felt tip pens, sticky tape and some all-purpose glue. Start with a paper cup, your paint and a brush. You might want to use another cup or container to put your paint into. Now just paint your cup all over. I'll use a bit of magic to speed this up. Oh. Ah! Right, once that's all dry, grab your lolly sticks and clay. Put the clay inside your cup. Then, using a pencil, make a little row of holes in the side, the width of a lolly stick. Do this again for the other side of the cup. So, when you push a stick all the way through, it'll line up like this. You'll also need a row of holes in the bottom of the cup for your wobbly beak to go into. To make the flappy wings, grab a strip of tape, then lay 2 lolly sticks, end to end, on top. Fold the tape around the sticks to make a hinge. Then just do it again a couple of times on each side to make the hinge a bit stronger. There we go. Push these sticks through your cup so the hinge ends up in the middle. Next, you'll need your card. Fold it in half. Then using one of your pens, draw a wing shape that touches the folded edge. Grab a pair of scissors, be careful when you're using these, and then cut out your wings. Open them out and then cut them down the middle so you have 2. Now you need to glue these onto your lolly sticks. The flat edge of the wings goes at the front. I'll just put some glue on there and then stick those on. If you want the wings to match the body, then give them a coat of the same paint. If you don't have any paint, try crayons or coloured pencils. Wiggle the hinge to flap the wings. Oh, there it goes. Come back you're not finished yet. That's better. So, take your last stick and break about a quarter off. Carefully trim the splintery bits if you want it neater. Push the long piece into the bottom of the cup to make a beak. Fold a piece of tape over the end of your stick and the hinge. Now they're stuck together, the wings flap and the beak moves. Glue the other piece of lolly stick onto the bird's face to make the bottom half of the beak. Find your card again and then draw 2 circles for eyes. Cut these out and stick them on. To finish off your bird, use your felt tip pens to add some details and decoration. And there you have it. Here are some other flapping creatures, and one made by Nina and Alex.
Marvellous.
In this video, we'll be making a cardboard singer. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. Right, you'll need 2 old cardboard tubes from kitchen roll or wrapping paper. You'll also need some paints, some coloured paper or card, felt tip pens and some all-purpose glue. Start by finding some scissors, be careful when you're using those, and grab your cardboard tubes. Cut about a quarter off one of the tubes. And I'll just tidy that up. Then cut all the way along the rest, like this. Your other tube can now slot inside. Grab your paints. I'm going to mix some white and some red in a container to make pink. I'll just mix that together. Now, just paint the outside of your tubes. Once they're dry, get a bit of paper to make a shirt for your singer. Slot your tubes back together, then, using some glue, stick the paper onto the short tube and wrap it around. You might have to cut the paper to the right size. Glue the end so it completely wraps your tube. Make sure the inside tube can still move up and down. Next, grab your pens. Draw the top and bottom of your mouth where your card tubes join, like this. Slide the long tube out, then continue the top of the mouth straight down. Fill the mouth in using the pen or some paint. Do the bottom of the mouth as well. Slot it all back together. I'll just neaten that up. Grab a piece of white paper and draw a set of top and bottom teeth. I'm also going to draw a tongue. Cut all these out and stick them into your singer's mouth, like this. Wow, that is loud. To make some hair, get another piece of coloured paper and make cuts all the way along. I'm using paper with a corrugated texture, but you don't have to, you could just use normal paper. Put some glue on the part without cuts, then roll it up and stick it onto the inside of your long tube. When that's dry, fold it all down into a hairstyle. I'm just going to trim the front. To make a scarf, cut 2 strips of paper Then fold one in half. It doesn't have to be neat. Get some glue, put a bit on the inside of the fold, and then stick it around the other strip of paper. Pop some glue on the back, and then wrap it around the top of the shirt. Finally, you could stick on some eyes and noses cut from magazines or printed photos. This time, I'm just going to draw the eyes on paper. I'll just draw those on there, cut them out, and stick them on. And there you have it. Here are some other tube singers, and one made by Tom and Fritz.
La
La
la la la la la
la la
la.
Marvellous.
This time, we'll be making a squashy glove creature. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. You'll need an old glove. You'll also need a cup of uncooked rice, some cotton wool, a rubber band, some old buttons, all-purpose glue, paper and some felt tip pens. Start with your glove. Take the thumb and push it right back inside the glove until you can't see it anymore. To make the filling for your creature, find your rice and cotton wool. Take the cup of rice and stretch your glove right over the top. Turn all of this upside down so the rice falls down inside your glove. Squeeze it down into the fingers. There. I'll just take out the cup and give it a bit more of a squish and a shake. Then use some cotton wool to pad out the body, but leave some empty space at the top.
Oh. Oh.
Now, grab your rubber band, put it around the glove, leaving plenty at the top. Keep twisting and looping the band back over the glove until it's really tight. There we are. Then just fold down the top to make the woolly hat. Next, get your glue and buttons. Blob on some glue, then hold those on the glove for a while so they really stick. Then, I'll just stick on these smaller ones for pupils. It doesn't matter if you haven't got black and white buttons. Try using different colours or anything else that's round. Grab some paper and pens to make the mouth. Then just draw it on the paper however you like. I'll just make that tongue red. Cut it out carefully with some scissors. Then put some glue on the back and stick it onto your creature's face. And there you have it! Here are some other ways you can make your glove creatures. And one made by Mike and Melanie.
Marvellous.
In this video, we'll be making a mini moon movie set. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. To make the set, you'll need a shoebox and a kitchen roll, PVA glue, a blob of old modelling clay and some paint. Begin with your box and put the lid to one side. Get your modelling clay and flatten it out a bit. Take a pencil and using the sharp end, poke holes through the bottom of your box into the clay. These holes will be your stars, so keep going until you've completely covered the bottom. There you go. Now, grab some black paint and put a coat inside the box. Leave one of the sides because that's going to be the ground. I'll just clean out these holes. Next, find your kitchen roll and then take all of the paper off the tube. Half of this paper needs to be ripped up into shreds. Taking your scissors, cut the tube into some rings. You can make them different sizes. These will be your craters. Get your PVA glue. Then squeeze some over 1/2 of your box lid, just like this. Then stick the rest of the box onto it with the ground at the bottom. In a bowl or container, mix together some PVA glue with the same amount of water to make a sort of watery glue. Give it a really good stir. I'm going to arrange my craters on the ground, like this. Then grab some paper shreds and dip them in your watery glue. Give it a squeeze and then squidge it all around your craters. This will plump up the ground and stick everything together when it's dry. Use some of the unripped sheets to lay over the top. Don't worry if it gets a bit messy, it'll just make it look more rocky. Let this dry in a warm place overnight. Now that's dry, find a dark colour paint for the first coat of your moon. I'm using some blue mixed with some black. Paint that all over the ground and in all the cracks. Then for the next coat, use a lighter colour. I'm using blue mixed with white. Using some of the kitchen roll, wipe most of the paint off the brush. Then gently stroke it over the ground so that paint goes on just the raised details. This is called dry brushing. For some decoration, you'll need some paper and some pens. I'm going to draw an Earth-like planet to decorate the starry sky. There we go. I'll just cut that out. Splodge on some glue and spread it all over the back. Then stick it on the sky. And there you have it. Put it on a windowsill or in front of a lamp to light up your stars. And here are some other types of planet you could make.
Marvellous!
This time, we'll be making a mini landscape movie set. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. You'll need an old shoebox, some all-purpose glue, paint, cotton wool, white paper, cling film, kitchen foil, and a pen. Start with your box and put the lid to one side. Using a pair of scissors, carefully cut each corner edge. Then cut off the long sides of the box and save them for later. Put the box aside and find the lid. Cut it about 1/4 of the way across the short side. Save that smaller piece. Find some blue paint and coat the inside of the large piece to make the sky. Grab some glue and put some halfway along these inside edges just like this. Stick the sky onto the sides of the box, leaving a big gap at the bottom. This is where light will come in. Hold it firmly so it all sticks together. Now glue that smaller piece of lid and stick it on the front. just like that. Get your long sides again and a pen. Draw some wiggly hills to go in the background. Then draw some less wiggly hills to go in front of them. Cut those out and save the spare pieces of card. These hills will be arranged like this. Fold the bottom of the front hills to make a tab which we'll glue later on. To make tabs for the sides, cut rectangles of spare card and then fold them down the middle. Glue these on the back of your hills. So, once painted, the hills will go in the box like this. I used this blue for the sky. I want to use this green for my ground and front hills. And I want to mix blue and green for my back hills. Right, I'll just paint those. And the sides and bottom of the box. Grab the white paper and cut it in half. Glue a piece on the back hills with half hanging off the bottom. Find your box and then put some glue on the tabs of the back hills. Slot them into place so they stick to the sides with a gap behind and underneath them. The white paper should stick out the back. This will bounce light up into your sky. Do the same for your front hills, gluing the sides and the bottom this time. This part is a bit tricky, but don't worry about bending and wiggling your hills to make them fit. To make clouds, find your cotton wool. Put some glue on your sky. Then roll some smaller cotton balls between your fingers and stick them on. I'm going to paint a river. Then, using the glue, stick on some little pieces of cling film for a watery effect. Now, I'm going to scrunch some foil to make some pointy tree shapes. I'll just glue those in too. And add some paint. Then, dab on some lighter green for a grassy feel. Lastly, I've found some stones outside and I'm going to put these in for decoration. And there you have it. Place your landscape on a windowsill or in front of a lamp to light up your sky. Here are some other landscapes you could try.
Marvellous!
In this episode, we'll be making a mini living room film set. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. You'll need an old shoebox, some wrapping paper, some old cardboard, photos or pictures of outside, paint, felt tip pens, sponges and some PVA glue. Start with your box and put the lid to one side. Paint one of the longer sides the colour you want the ceiling. Don't worry if it's a bit messy. Flip the box over and then paint a darker colour for the first coat of your floor. Let that dry. Now, get a sponge and a piece of old card. Put some lighter paint on the card for the next stage of the floor. I'm mixing a few colours together. Take the rough side of the sponge and dab it in the paint so it's all nice and coated. Now dab the sponge all over the floor to give it a carpet effect. Do this a few times. Grab your wrapping paper and a pen. Lay the paper out flat and then grab your box. Draw around the bottom and sides of the box to give you 3 rectangles. Cut these out just a little smaller so they'll fit on the inside walls of the box. Find your glue and then cut the sponge so we can use half as a glue spreader. Grab your box again and put some glue in the bottom. Give it a good spread with the sponge. Now, stick in the biggest rectangle of paper. A few bubbles and tears will only make it look more lived in. Put some glue on the side wall. Spread that around. Then stick on another rectangle. Do it again for the last wall. To make some doors and fittings, find your lid and some pens. Imagine the lid is the bottom of the box and draw the things you want to add to the back wall. I'll do a door, a fireplace, a window and a bit of skirting board. Now just paint or colour the things the way you want them. There, lovely. Just cut away the edges of the lid. Then cut out all the bits. With this window, cut it right the way through and then cut away the middle. We'll draw these bits in again later. Find one of your pictures of outside. Then glue the window pieces onto the picture. Draw those middle bits back on with a permanent pen, and then cut away the outside parts of the picture. Get your box and all your new pieces and glue them all in. Looking cosy. Now, use some more of your old card to create some decorations and furniture. Try folding and sticking boxy shapes to make a comfy chair. And there you have it. Here are some other types of room you could make.
Marvellous.
In this video, we'll be making animation. So, get your hands warmed up and ready to go. You'll need a place where your animations are set. This is where we shoot Marvellous Makes. You'll also need to make some characters and props. Animations are just a series of pictures that are all slightly different each time. When they're changed slowly, they just look like separate pictures. But when they're changed really fast, it looks like the things in the pictures start to move on their own. We can make this clay ball look like it's moving by taking a photograph, moving it a bit, then taking another photo, then repeating this over and over. When we look at these photos quickly one after the other, the ball looks like it's moving round and round on its own. These pictures that make up the animation are called frames.
Huh? Sure.
We can make things look like they're going faster or slower by changing how much we move them between each frame. Here, the ball moves slowly because it's moving less between each frame. Here, it goes faster because it moves more. And here, it goes slowly again. We can make things move in all sorts of ways. We could make Graham's mouth move by propping it open with these little balls of clay. Or I can push him around on the set and take a picture each time to make him look like he's walking. We could also use cut-out photos or drawings to make a different style of animation. And that's how we brought the Marvellous Makes characters to life. Thanks for watching.